How's it going, guys? So today's going to be a video about something that I've kind of been dreading about doing, but I figure, you know, I gotta just do it. So behind me you'll see my Porter Cable air compressor, and I've had it for around 2.5 years now. It's served me quite well. Single stage air compressor. I got it from Tractor Supply, and it goes up to 155 psi, and that really is pretty high for a single stage air compressor. Alright, here's the issue I'm having. When I designed my system, I built in a shutoff valve right here, so I kind of figured I would have leaks further down the line, so I figured I'd be able to save all my air pressure in the tank. Well, it turns out that there's actually a leak within this ginormous threaded connection right here, and that's just a step down to, that's probably maybe a 1-inch fitting I have right there. That's maybe a 2-inch reducer. So I'm a little intimidated by the size of this, and like I said, after 2 years, just out of the blue, it started leaking. So I'm going to attempt to fix this today. The first thing I got to do is disconnect my hose right here, and then hopefully I can just spin this whole thing off without having to really screw around with any of my fittings there, because if I had to do that, then I had to re-teflon the system. So yeah, let's get into this. Now, I don't have an adjustable wrench large enough to fit this, so what I'm going to have to attempt to use is my massive monkey wrench. I actually got these at a yard sale. I got a couple of them, and I decided to throw a coat of John Deere green and yellow on them. So let's give this a try. Which I hate doing this because I feel like it may damage, you know, some of the squareness of that reducer there, but I don't have much of a choice. And before you take this off, it's an excellent idea to make sure you take out all the air out of the system, which I've already done. Hello! Alright, that wasn't too bad. So looking at this fitting, it looks like when they installed this, they never put any type of sealant on here. They never put any pipe dope or any kind of Teflon tape. So, you know, I've experimented between the two in the past. I really haven't had much luck with pipe dope. Maybe some of you had. So I think I'm going to try the Teflon tape, and we'll see how that does. Alright, sometimes this screws me up, but I think I got it. So because we're going to be twisting this on to the right, we're going to want to spin our Teflon to the right, not to the left like Shakira would say, or whoever sings that song. You know, I think I was reading somewhere, I could be wrong, but I believe Teflon actually isn't a sealer. From what I remember reading, is Teflon is actually a lubricant, a lubricated tape, and what it does is it allows the threads to thread in deeper and thereby creating a seal. I'm not sure how accurate or true that is. I kind of believe that Teflon does provide a bit of sealing in between the gap between the threads. You know, it probably does lubricate it too, but I don't think that's only it. Any plumbers out there, feel free to correct me. Alright, I think that should be plenty. Now let's see if I did this right, which I believe I did. Before I put it on, I just like to seat it down. Alright, I feel like that should do it just fine. Now I'm going to put this thing in here and we'll see if we have any more air leaks. Alright, so I don't hear any leaks thus far. My tank is at 150 psi. I don't have any soapy water. I will spray some Simple Green, which you see I sprayed some in the past trying to track down this leak. And we'll see if we get any air bubbles in here. Which actually we do have some. right there. So I'm going to spin this another turn around and see if that corrects the issue. Alright, so believe it or not, I actually had to give this reducer fitting a whole nother 3 rotations. But after that, I'm not seeing any bubbles forming, so I call that a job well done. Now the last thing I need to do is reconnect this blue hose right here, which that should not be touching the ground. That just gets screwed into the bottom there, and then we are good to go. And that concludes this video. Thanks for watching. It's really not as intimidating as you would think. Just ensure that you have a very large pipe wrench, and you'll be good to go.